to this happy occasion. We're here to celebrate 2025 Sparks Prize winner Ren Phung, and he's going to read. I'm Johannes Jansson, and I'm the Director of Creative Writing for one more month. Just before we get started, let me just say a few things that are upcoming. Next Tuesday, the Institute for Latino Studies and the Creative Writing Program are inviting you to Ritual Sanación, an evening of poetry, performance, and healing with visiting poet Xavier Cavazos and PhD student Carla Maravilla. And this will be happening here at 5 p.m. And then on Tuesday, April 21st, we're going to have the much glorious 2026 MFA in Creative Writing final thesis reading. Celebrating Prof. Dada, Darren Agladoon, Adeline Perriman, Helen Kwa, Rina Shamalov, Adriana Toledano, Kalyanchuk, and Vince Vasudevan.
All right.
Yep. That will be in the EC Visitor Center, not here, but at 5 p.m. And finally, we're going to host Deborah Jackson Taffa in conversation with Azarine van der Vliet Lumi. This is happening at the Andrews Auditorium of Geddes Hall on April 23rd. Excellent. So you thought the semester was over? It is not over. We're just getting started. So today we're here to celebrate Ren Phung and his Sparks Prize. Just a few words about what the Sparks Prize is. It is annually awarded to a distinguished graduate of the Creative Writing Program as a post-graduation year of residency and writing time funded by Nicholas Sparks and judged by an external writer, based on the quality of the writing and the likelihood that the submission will be published or developed into a publishable book. And last year's judge was Jenny Booley, who is a graduate of our program from long ago, and she picked Ren's Museum of Explosions as the winning entry, and this is what she wrote. Museum of Explosions excites me with its latent potential to explode. I see so much grit and friction and spark in the prose, so many blasts of the imagination, uncharted paths in form and dimensions. The framework for successful takeoff is all embedded in this sampling, and I believe that time to live closely within the project will only engender unexplored worlds of form and content and their endless orbiting. Keep seeking the worlds of this world. I'll just say the bio. Ren Phung is a seriously unserious writer from Southern California. Their prose has most recently won the Black Warrior Review Fiction Prize. And their poetry is published or forthcoming in Crab Creek Review, Arkana, River Heron Review, and other places. Go find it or don't. Find something else instead. Tumble through holes, make them bigger. Make stupidly turn to liquid. All right, everybody welcome Ren.
What's up? Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna read. I hate doing like novel excerpt readings, just cause like where do you read? So yeah, I'm just gonna read from a section where, I guess for context, protagonist, Kevin Nguyen, working in the Museum of Explosions, which explodes every day. All his coworkers are named Kevin Nguyen. Outside of work, he like stalks his mom, who like he lives underneath, but like in like the apartment below her. But then she doesn't know that he lives there, and he's trying to not be known. So I think that's all you need to know. So then I'm just gonna start from a section where Kevin's kind of getting lost in the museum, and then just kind of reading for a few chapters. All right. Thanks for having me. Let's see. Okay. I wipe my sweaty hands on my uniform. A good day's sweeping. If I had to guess, it's probably time for a break. I look around. Which way was the entrance again? Was a sleeping tube man on my right or left when I was walking here? For a while, I follow the ringing in my ears down one hallway, but it doesn't seem to get any louder or softer. Which way did the conservator go? My chest a sewer of rats. The hallway stretches toward infinity in both directions, absolutes, a straight line, a vein carving a path through the earth. What state am I in? Was I heading westward? Every room I pass a foreign country. Am I still in the US? I scan the walls for any clues, any signs for lost visitors, lost tour guides. On the floor, I see a pile of black dust, and it looks like the limbs I stomped on. But up ahead is another pile, and so much dust, so much trash, so much ruin, and I am running now. My footsteps pounding on concrete. I trip, and my face hits the ground, and I feel blood leaking from my knee, and I get up and coughing now. I keep going. There are rivers where my lungs should be. I hear a waterfall. My body will lead me there. I keep running. I don't want any of it. Not the empty pill bottles, the broken sunglasses, not the crumpled papers or car batteries, not the finger molds or the tandem bike with naked stone plinths. I just want to leave. I just want to leave. I just want to leave. I leave wanting just leave. And I want, and I want. Kevin, I yell. My lungs struggle for breath. My shoes are half filled with soot and pebbles. Kevin! My voice echoes across the hallway like the museum is teaching itself my name. Ma! The word is heavy on my tongue. It tastes like kindling. With each breath, I feel the echoes filling my lungs, a ready container. My body can be a good vehicle, I promise. Won't anyone enter, please? But behind me, I hear something. The quiet scraping of metal against concrete. I turn around and there's nothing but the hallway, a clogged intestine. The scraping continues. I walk down the hall and slowly it gets closer. I reach a doorway to another gallery and inside there is a small boy. Pale skin, messy black hair that hides his ears. He's crouched down, looking toward the ground beneath him, carving into it with a dull spoon, as if trying to dig a little hole in the concrete. Surrounding him are tall mountains of debris, grass clippings, wood chips, leaves, a lawnmower jutting impossibly from its side. They touch the ceiling almost, threatening to collapse onto him. He is almost hidden in their shadows, but his striped shirt, the color of bumblebees. Hey, I whisper. I don't know why I'm whispering. The boy doesn't stop carving. He's not quite looking at where his spoon is going, as if he's lost elsewhere. I tiptoe forward into the mountain shadows. Hey, I whisper again, softer this time, barely a breath. His jean shorts frayed with age, his Velcro sandals like the ones I used to wear, the ones Ma slid on for me before every evening walk in the park. I hear the straps ripping in my head. Hey, I say again, except I don't hear myself speak the word. I only feel my lips curling around it, the word itself forgotten, still a soft gesture sliding around somewhere between the damp walls of my skull. The boy looks up. His eyes are Ma's. I open my mouth again to speak, but nothing comes out. His eyes widen like windows opening into nights, and he stands now and he runs toward me. For a moment, I think to hug my knees, but his arm only grazes them as he runs past me out the doorway, still wielding the spoon as I just stand there, frozen, a statue encased in shadow, still looking into the boy's eyes, the terror in them. A question presses into the folds of my brain. Where did Ma get so many spare eyes? My heart thumps loudly against my chest, as if to remind me I'm still here. Thank you, heart. My legs swivel my body toward the doorway. Thank you, legs. They walk me back into the hallway. My neck turns both ways. The boy is nowhere. Nice try, neck. Below me, a chipper chirping. Julep scuttles around my feet, tracing the outline of my shoes with his little cockroach legs. Hi, Julep, my mouth says. How did you get out from your glass case? Thank you, mouth. Julep continues to scurry around me. My tongue presses against the roof of my mouth to chirp something back at him. He stops. I am worried I said something rude. Translation is such a messy business. Julep crawls a few cockroach yards down the hall. He turns around as if to signal to my feet. They walk me a few human steps forward. Julep crawls again. I follow. Step, step, step. Step, step, step. We turn. Step, step, step. Step, step, step. We turn again. Step, step, step. My feet carry the legs. My legs carry the chest. Step, step, step. Down some stairs, up some stairs. My chest carries the whole carries nothing. Dumb hole. My chest also carries the neck. Step, step. My neck carries the head. My head carries the museum. 7. As we walk, I try again to speak to the boy upstairs, my mouth empty with silence, the words billowing only through my skull. Hello. Are you still there? Are you still here? In the museum? Where'd you get those eyes? I could never find them at the flea market. Are those eyes Ma's eyes, or are Ma's eyes yours? Or are mine yours, or maybe Ma took mine? She never did like to let me have things, said I'd get greedy. I've never wanted much, though, just a body of my own. Is that body yours? Your legs, yours, your hair, I swear I've seen it on someone else before. It would be nice to own a body, to see one in particular, his body, the man of doors. Have you seen him? He's usually one door tall, about infinity doors thick. It's fine, no matter. You can help me look for him. Better line of work than digging into concrete, right? Hey, are you listening? You heard me, right? You can hear me? 8. Eventually, the trash along the hallway starts to look familiar. There's my broom, large in a pile of rubble like a flagpole. The red tube man is still sleeping with his eyes open. The sound of humming, a warm feather. Julep and I pass a room where Bulge Kevin is kneeling, scooping handfuls of dirt from the ground in the places where the concrete is missing. Exploded, I'm guessing. The floor an unfinished puzzle, like one of those 1,000-piece ones of an empty sky. Is it blue there? Above there. I step inside. He looks up. Take off your shoes, please, he says. You too, Julep. Julep settles in a little hole beside me. Did you know cockroaches chirp, I ask? They don't, says Bulge Kevin, unless they're mating. He stares at my shoes. Has Julep been looking for a mate this whole time? I hope I haven't been leading him on. I comply with Kevin's request, emptying my shoes in front of me, feeling the soot fall between the cracks of my shoes. Please do that outside, he says. You're stepping on them. I look down and see only my feet and the dirt. The room looks like many of the others I've seen during my short time here, unremarkable, completely bare, the only artifacts of note being the exposed dirt dotted with holes, the small pile next to Bulge Kevin, the dim white light hovering above him, illuminating the blackened walls flaked with night. What are you doing? I ask. Working, he says. He gestures for me to be quiet, then he cranes his neck down toward the small hole he's dug and whispers something into it. He gathers the dirt he dug in his hands gently, as if it was his dirt and his dirt alone, and places it back into the hole. He looks up at me again. Planting little nothings, he says. Would you like to help? I take a look at my hands, scratched up, caked in dirt all the way to the fingernails. Not right now, I think. I think I need a break. I don't think I'll be good at it anyways. Good call, says Bulge Kevin. I'll be here. I turn to leave. Julep stays in his little hole. Are you sleeping? I chirp. He doesn't respond. I wonder what cockroaches dream of. I wonder if he would be able to read them. Thank you, friend, I chirp to him. I take my shoes and start to tiptoe out of the room so as not to wake him. You would be good at this, though, Bulge Kevin calls out toward me. I stop for a second. How do you know? I don't, he says, but I promise. Everyone that works here is good at so many things. The dirt below my feet is warm to the touch. I wait to see if I'll feel anything moving underneath me. Nothing happens. I listen to the quiet sound of Bulge Kevin's hands scooping up dirt, patting it back into place. Nothing happens. He starts humming again, a soft warble, humming like he's on a distant planet with a name only he remembers, as the hallway wall past the room's entrance seems to inch toward us, just barely, as if the museum is straining to listen to the melody, and yet nothing happens. I realized I never asked Bulge Kevin about the boy I saw earlier, but it feels wrong to ask now, like I would be breaking something. So I leave. I've always been good at leaving. 9. In the lobby, Kevin is leaning against one of the many bare plinths, napping, it seems, his broom tucked into his chest. When he hears me kicking debris aside as I walk toward him, my legs barely able to lift my feet, his eyes open. Welcome back, he says. It's uncanny to see my own face smiling at me. I clench my fist, to keep my hand from pressing into his eyes, to make sure they're real, to make sure I am. Were you waiting for me? Gardener Kevin took 2 full breaks and you weren't anywhere to be found, he says. You mean Bulge Kevin? I don't think he likes that name, but yes. You work here long enough, you get to know all the Kevins. They don't mind you, he says, answering the question before I can ask it. They're just shy. It's easier to stick to yourself when you don't know who you're going to see one shift, who you're never going to see again. I think of Bulge Kevin, the ease in his voice when we met, the soft but pulsing eagerness to talk. When was the last time he had met somebody new down here? You're bleeding, says Kevin. I look down at my scraped knees, the torn uniform pants, and then I remember, like a boulder in my throat, the sheer panic I felt when searching for the exit. In an instant, I pressed myself around Kevin, wrapping my arms around his back like an inflatable tube net. He holds me tight, gently patting the soot off my back, as if I were an ancient relic being reintroduced to light. My mouth squeezed shut, glued to his neck bone. Sorry, I say through my pressed lips, about the hole in your head. It's fine. You didn't make it. He smells like mountains, the way mountains smell before you ever step foot on one. The way they smell when you see only the shape of them on a plastic water bottle label. The way they smell when they're just an unmolded idea, just 2 plates colliding in your skull. That smell. Yes, that smell. You understand, right? Spoon boy, you understand, right? I've never been good at describing things. I make for a terrible tour guide, I bet. But you can smell them too, right? Are you sleeping up there in my skull? Hello? Hello? Kevin whispers in my ear. Are you okay? My mind takes a second to find myself again. I remember my scraped knees, how they're supposed to be hurting. Should I put some ointment on them, I ask, or at least some bandages? No, you should be fine, he says. Happens to me all the time. I unglue myself from his body, roll up the sleeves of his uniform shirt. If I see for the first time the scars tracing his skin, my fingers follow the scribbled ridges along his arms, barely noticeable, a pale cartography. Under my palms, I feel goosebumps forming, the tiniest mountains. The museum takes care of life, he says. The museum takes care of life, I repeat. For a moment, my mind splits in 2. This seems to be happening quite often these days, says one half of my mind to the other. The other half says nothing. Ah yes, I'm sorry, these nights, says the first half. In one half, I'm sweeping. Sweep, 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 sweep. The nights turn into nights. Checks keep coming in the mail. I leave the water running when I go to work. I buy groceries, make real meals with real food. I meet more Kevins, some with hats, some with different accents I can't even recognize. Some wide-eyed, entry-level Kevins like me, some with gray hair, grayer skin, some with good dance moves, and some that just cry when I ask them to dance. I forget just as many Kevins as I meet. My food starts to taste of soot. My shoes continue to fill with soot every shift, and after a while, I stop emptying them. I place glass cases over bones and any other recognizable body parts I can find. I give them names, I rebirth them. My muscles start to feel like they're peeling off from within me. My bones feel soggy and at the end of shifts, and they stay damp even when I wake at night. One night, or is it dawn, in my apartment, with my stomach clawing at itself like a feral sun, I pull a ginger root from a kitchen drawer and start to skin it, but I can't save myself from seeing each grooved nub as a finger. The organ rides in my hands and I continue to move even after I've dropped it onto the floor. I never learned to train my stomach so boundless with hunger. After a while, in this half of my mind, I lose track of the days, the nights, until they tangle into a long gray sprawl. I never encounter Ma on my walks home, or maybe I'm too tired to notice her. I never awake to watch her walk into the parking lot at 8:15 p.m., never hear her footsteps above me. Her face becomes an ink smudge. The leash around my neck loosens. Time becomes marked only by explosions. Sometimes they happen during the day. Sometimes they happen during my shift, though always in another room. I'm always in the wrong place. Never is there any blood if I find a body. Rarely does it ever look like a body. Every ending gives way to another ending. Sometimes a Kevin explodes and everyone just carries on sweeping. Eventually I learn exploding is not the worst outcome. The Kevins that witness an explosion and survive, they never come back for another shift. No one comes from the bodies that boom. The checks keep coming in the mail. The water keeps coming down the pipes. I survive, and I don't know which is worse, to survive for one unknown reason or none. In the other half of my mind, I explode. For a long time, everything is dark. And then a flashlight, some guy waving it around the room where I exploded. He sees the parts of me, what used to be me. He whispers to himself in excitement, holding the blackened remains of me in the darkness. He puts me carefully in his bag and runs out from the room, back down the hallway he came from, up the ladder. He rushes out through the abandoned theater into the night, gets into his car, and drives. He takes me back to his lab now, the lights blindingly white. I see his black hair, his dirty clothes leaving museum on the lab floor. He chisels at me, the parts of me, gluing me to myself, taking me apart again, gluing myself to me. When finally he is satisfied, he puts the new assemblage of me into a padded box, and off we go again. We're in a museum again, this man and I, a different museum. He places me in the center of a wide room on a large pedestal, long cylinders of light beaming onto me as a group of museum staff carefully place a glass case over me. They secure a velvet rope onto the 4 metal posts around the pedestal. A group of photographers is ushered in through the glass doors of the gallery, and then the click, click, click of their cameras, their bodies pressed up against the rope. Other scientists, archaeologists, even a few fancy-looking men in weekend suits enter to shake the blond man's hand, congratulate him, share a hearty laugh. Eventually, the conversations cool to a simmer, and then they leave. The museum staff nod and smile at them, and then they leave. The man takes a final look at me, blows the tiniest speck of dust from my case. He's always been known for a sharp eye. He fastens the velvet rope back to the metal posts, and then he, too, leaves. As the glass doors swing after him, he doesn't look back, not even once. The gallery is quiet. The white lights, heavy, interrogative, search for motion, and when there is none, off themselves. And then everything is dark. I think it's time for a break, I say, my hands still latching onto Kevin's arm. I need to look at the moon. All right, says Kevin with a confused smile on his face, sliding himself from my grip, wiping my sweat off onto his uniform. He gestures toward the ladder, after you. His smile is real. His smile is here, and thus, at least for now, so am I. 10. After the long journey up the ladder, I stumble through the trapdoor and roll off the theater stage, wincing as my knees hit the floor. The exhaustion of the shift is catching up to me. Decades of dust catch in my eyes as I crawl forward, my hands and legs by now having memorized the exact route through the pitch black to the entrance. I grab the push bar, hoist myself up and out the door. The darkness of the theater rushes outward into the arms of an older brother. I let the cold air flood into my lungs. The neon sign across the street glows purple, but the club is closed. Is it Monday then? The moon is full, a beaming hole drilled into night. I turn to shake Kevin's arm to say, look, look, like I've never seen that strange glowing dumpling in the sky, like I haven't spent countless nights rubbing moonlight on my bare chest like a cool ointment. And my hand only grabs air. Kevin's not next to me. I pull the door to the theater open. Kevin's standing there a few steps away, his face half painted in shadow. Are you coming? He shuffles his feet, looks down. His hair blends into the darkness, turning him into a headless mannequin. It occurs to me that I've never actually seen him climb up the ladder on his own, or down, or seen him walking to the theater, seen him walking anywhere but here. When was the last time you left this place? I ask him. When was the last time I left? The street doesn't look any different from any other night, the air not cooler or warmer than I remember. A while ago, says Kevin. I can't say I remember. Don't worry, I'm here. You'll be fine. I know, he says. He doesn't move. Do you just sleep in there every night? What do you eat? How do you live? He shrugs. The museum takes care of life. Standing in the doorway, I feel the cool air of the night on my back, the warm musk of the theater on my face. You can leave at any time, I say. I know. And so can you. I'll see you tomorrow, he says, gently closing the door on my face. As I'm walking home, I see across the street a van pulling up to a small store. A man steps out, opens the trunk. He takes out a box filled with fruit, lugs it inside. Look, Kevin, it's already tomorrow, I want to say. People are already getting ready for the day. But he's probably fast asleep somewhere deep below me. The man walks out of his store and shoos me away like a fly. As I start to walk back to my apartment, the pink outlines of dawn begin to take shape in the distance. In my head, metal scrapes softly against bone. Okay. 11. I wake with red splotches on my arms. I'm not sure if they're from sleep or from the museum. I turn the bathroom sink handle until the water is as hot as it'll get, and then I run my arm under it. A minute passes and then another. Soon my whole arm turns red, a strip of raw pork belly. There are so many ways to make a wound disappear. I've been waking up earlier this past few days, the sun having just set by the time I get up, leaving smoky red wisps in the sky. But the kitchen clock still reads 8:15 p.m. I brush my teeth and spit out gray foam. I wash my face. Gray water runs down my arms into the sink. I crunch on overcooked white rice and find a tooth-sized pebble in my bowl. Ever since I started working at the museum, I keep finding bits of museum everywhere in my apartment. My reused pajamas itchy with soot. I really need to start showering more often, but I'm always so tired after my shift I fall right into bed, my heavy head a lifeboat riddled with holes, sinking into sleep. There's still some time before my shift starts, so I decide I'll do the laundry for the first time in a while. I gather my clothes in a trash bag and walk out the door and a few buildings over until I get to the laundry room, door propped open. The whole wall of washing machines is taken, whirring with soaping water as the dryers across from them rattle, the doors banging wildly against their frames. I can't hear my thoughts over this noise, can't hear the boy upstairs scraping that spoon into my skull. Could you scrape a little louder for a while? I ask him. One of the washers is almost done with its cycle, blurry wheels spinning at full speed through the clear door. I decide to sit on one of the empty tables and wait, but then Ma walks in. With nowhere to hide, I just have to turn away from the door, hoping she doesn't recognize my skinny frame. Over the racket of machines, I can hear her open a dryer door, but I can't hear anything else. Hey, spoon boy, can you look behind me? What do you see? Is she looking at me? A minute passes and then another. Clothes continue to throw themselves against the dryer walls. Water gushes and bubbles. Ma, don't mind me. I'm just a coin machine, a silo for small tenders. Despite my insistence, blood hurries through my veins. My lungs ask for air. The impossibility of fixedness, the inevitability of fixations. I don't hear a dryer door closing. Tell me, spoon boy, if I can't hear her, can you? Tall oaks split and crash into the basin of my skull, the dry leaves exploding in a flurry of shivers. Machines batter recklessly against each other. I stay frozen in place. The clock on the wall seems wrong. Shouldn't it read 8:15 p.m.? When I finally conjure the courage to look back at the door, she's gone. A washer stops spinning and starts again in reverse. I wait for the washer to finish. I wait for someone to get their wet clothes. I load them in the dryer when nobody comes. I load my own clothes in the washer. I wait for that to finish. I wait for someone to get their dry clothes. I take them out when nobody comes, swaddle my face in the warmth. I put my clothes in the dryer, wait for that to finish, wait for someone to come, wait for all the machines to finish, wait for someone to come, wait until the laundry room is quiet enough to hear the boy upstairs drop his spoon, pick it up, go back to making space for me. When I get back to my apartment, I feel a strange urge to go up to Ma's apartment. I let my legs take me up the stairs. Vehicle of bone, stiff container of motion. As I approach her door, I feel myself slowing down, tiptoeing. At her doorstep, a pair of blue mesh slippers. I turn them over. The soles are still wiped clean of any trace of roach gunk. I set my trash bag of clothes down, take off my shoes and socks. The slippers feel cool on my feet. They fit now, better than they did when I first tried them on as a kid, at home, by myself. Spoon boy, do these look familiar to you at all? I put my hand to the doorknob. It's unlocked. The brass is cold to the touch. Turning, I turn the knob. Turning, I enter. All right.
Anyone have questions, Ren? Maybe you want to talk a little bit about how you got this idea and how you got started writing it?
I don't remember. I don't know. I was just like, it's pretty funny. I don't know. I was just like, wouldn't it be funny if there was a museum of explosions that explodes every day? And then I just kept like thinking about it. And then I think that's how a lot of my ideas come, like stuff that I think is funny, and then I just can't stop thinking about it. Then after a while, I'm just like, okay, if I'm still thinking about this, then it's probably something. And at first it was a poem. Yeah, I think I submitted the poem for like Joyel's workshop. And then I kept thinking about it, and I just wanted to like expand it more, and I was like, all right, might as well. Like, so it turned into like a short story, and then I just had more to say, so I just kept writing it.
Yeah, it's funny because the story is exploring this place that already seems to pre-exist the story, but also is created by the movement through the story. Anybody has questions? Arkana?
So like, I just want to know a little bit about like the process from like the sample you submitted when you like asked for the award until like what it is now. Like if it's been kind of like expanding that original manuscript, or if it's been more like a rewrite, and like just anything you can say about like what this year of like having so much more writing time for your process.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the Sparks, which is what, like the first 30 pages, I think that was like pretty early into the book. And then for the thesis, I had like basically like all of like part 1, and I sort of like envisioned like 3 parts of the book. So yeah, for this year I've mostly been working on like part 2, which is when like Kevin kind of like submits to like being in the museum like full time, just kind of like living there, and then only remembering, sort of like forgetting the outside world, and like this idea of like, I don't know, there's sort of like utopia in this museum. It's like this strange kind of utopia, and then only exiting when he remembers that like he like stole this like broken rice cooker from his mom's place, and then so he like fixes that, and then brings it back to her, and then they have this like weird kind of dance where like she like leaves out like a bunch of broken things, and then he like goes to the museum and fixes them, and so that's like kind of what I'm working on. Yeah.
Anybody else?
I just have a question, like, when you're writing and you need to recharge, are there certain writers that you go back to just, like, get back in your vibe, or to get a break from your vibe?
A lot of, like, YA stuff, I don't know. I mean, I love Warrior Cats. Shout out Warrior Cats. I've never really been one to read much prose. Like, I usually just read poetry. And, yeah, I don't know, just, like, a lot of poetry, a lot of Beckett. I've been reading a lot of Beckett. I don't know. Irish people are cool. I don't know. It's always like really refreshing, I think, to read like Irish writers, because like there's so much resonance between Irish history and Vietnamese history, and that's always really cool to see. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've been starting to paint now. It's like warming up. I've been just like painting in a cafe. So yeah, if I recharge, I'm not reading usually. Yeah.
What's your relationship with museums?
They're cool. I like them.
All right.
Yeah. I don't know.
Vandalize the art.
No, I don't know. I'm like a big like art history nerd. I don't know. I took a lot of fun art history class while we were here with like Elise Speaks, and we talked a lot about like performance art, and I don't know, just like resisting the museum, and the museum of like this, I don't know, space, this like weird space, where like I guess like just by putting something on its walls or just in the museum, it becomes art. And so yeah, for a while I was like really just interested in this idea of like, yeah, I don't know, like if you call it a museum, then is everything in it art or like a history or something? Like it has like some sort of symbolic significance. And I think that's actually what I've been really interested in this past year. Sort of like, yeah, I haven't been as much interested about like the sort of like Vietnamese American aspect of the book, but I don't know, I've just been thinking a lot about like trying to get away from like symbols, despite being in like a symbolically loaded thing as a museum of explosions. And so yeah, I don't know, just like this idea of like permanence, I think was really interesting. Like this like idea of like fixing something in place or like in time. And so like this museum of explosions being like something like out of time, or like locked in time, I guess, was like really fascinating to me.
Yeah, Beckett makes complete sense, and I was thinking that when you were reading, and I was also like the meditative quality put me in mind of like Gertrude Stein, and like Making of Americans especially. But I wanted to know, sort of talking about those, is there kind of, or what kind of structuring principles artwork in your project, like with Beckett, like the constant narrowing down to just the voice, or some other kind of dynamic or constraint or something, anything like that?
Not really. I mean, I just like, I don't know. I don't really have a process when I write. Like, I just write, and then whatever is like interesting, I just kind of keep going. And yeah, I think like with something as like weird, like I don't know, like I want it to be able to like at least kind of have a reader like have some sense of like orientation, despite it being like such a familiar place, because like the book starts with like a dream sequence, and then it's immediately, or a dream sequence when the boy is like, when Kevin is like 3 or something, and then it immediately jumps into like him walking into the Museum of Explosions, or like learning about the Museum of Explosions as like an adult. So like, so yeah, I don't know. I've been really interested in like, I guess in particular like time skips, and like each part comes after like a time skip. So like part 2 ends with like Kevin like being forced to like leave the museum, and then finding out that like a lot of time has passed while he's in there, and so he's been evicted from his apartment, and then so he like breaks into his mom's apartment and just like falls asleep on the couch. And so yeah, and then part 3 starts with like after he's like woken up from like essentially like a coma or something. So and then part 2 starts also after like a big time skip. So I guess like I don't know, like I just like the idea of like I don't know, having like a narrator that's like totally uninterested in like explaining anything, and sort of, because like how do you explain stuff when you can't even explain it to yourself, you know? So like this idea of like this like confused narrator, and just having this like thread of yearning, I think, because yeah, like even with Beckett's like weirdest stuff, like I don't know, I was reading one of his novels like Company, where it's just like a dead guy on the floor, and he like maybe hears a voice, and there's still like this like yearning or like desire to remember, and I feel like for me that's what carries through a lot of his works. So I think for me, just having that like emotional thread for both the narrator and for like readers, so like even if they don't know what's going on, they still have this like emotional core that they can sort of find their way with.
Yeah, I'm curious about how you see the line between reality and fantasy, I guess, in this work, and maybe kind of baked into that. I mean, this is an unfair question, but how do you, what genre do you imagine this?
To the second question, I don't know. First question, I was kind of inching toward this idea of like the dream being the only real thing. There was like something I wrote where it was like the dream is the only real thing because it's like the only thing that doesn't pretend it's not going to end, you know, because like dreams always like kind of end really suddenly, like there's no like sort of like, I don't know, drawn out conclusion. Yeah, there's no closure, yeah. So yeah, I was interested in like, yeah, this museum being a place where, yeah, sort of like quote unquote like real things can happen and like people can be their true selves. Whereas, yeah, like above ground, you're sort of like forced to confine yourself to like the restraints of class, of wealth, of society. So yeah, I don't know, just yeah, I've been kind of really interested in like this idea of like, yeah, like what reality is, and it's like, I don't know, especially like with, I don't know, just how, I guess like unreal like the world feels, then like, I don't know, finding like what does reality mean? And so for me, it was like I was interested in like this sort of like physical language, sort of like not bodily necessarily, but just like, I don't know, like I just keep thinking like I want my language to be like a bludgeon, and like that's where the realness comes. This idea that like, I don't know, just like through really like blunt, bludgeony language, that like it just feels real, if that makes sense. Yeah.
begins with a dream, you say, but that dream is maybe the most realist part of the story,
Mm.
right? Other questions, concerns? Well, great to